Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dalescenter, Phoenix weekend for the NASCAR Cup Series and the NASCAR Xfinity Series, along with the St. Petersburg Grand Prix of St. Pete. I always say it fucked up and backwards. Doesn't matter. It's a packed weekend of racing. We have ARCA Friday night. We'll be watching, but we're not betting on that shit. It's ARCA. I mean, respectfully, yeah, we're going to stay away. And if you're smart, you probably will stay away, too, from ARCA. Questionably if it is a sport or not, but that is not the emphasis here on Dalescenter, the greatest NASCAR betting program in the universe, hosted by the greatest NASCAR bettor in the history of the universe. I'm Dale Tanhart, and happy Dale Day. If you're watching on Friday, it is 3/8, March 8th, so 3/8 Dale Day. Shout out Dale Jr. right here, running away with Phoenix Fall 2004, three-time Phoenix winner. And don't forget the 24, too, right? It's 3/8/24. Love Jeff Gordon. Love Dale Earnhardt. Love Dale Earnhardt Jr., the three most impactful drivers of my entire life. This is their day, and it's the only day we'll ever get this in our entire lives. If you're watching this on Friday, be appreciative. And a happy Dale Day. But let's jump right into it. RotoDoc will join us here in a few minutes to talk about INDYCAR. He's an INDYCAR betting expert. He's a betting expert in everything, but I love having him on. We had him on a lot in 2023 to talk INDYCAR bets. Lights out. They didn't really do us any favors with the sports books because for whatever reason, we got betting odds super, super late heading into the INDYCAR race weekend. By the time you watch this, one practice session will probably be over, and you're going to see some line adjustments, and I'm sure RotoDoc will kind of talk about those line adjustments as practice happens, as qualifying happens. Leading you into the weekend at St. Pete, which is a very fun race weekend, by the way. Very, very big time recommend by Dale. Dale Tanhart approved the Grand Prix of St. Pete. You should go at some point. It's really, really fun, really cool area, and a great high-quality race. And speaking of high-quality racing, that's all we've had in the Cup Series in 2024. We've had a phenomenal start to the quality of racing. We've also had a great start in the betting sense of NASCAR with a huge weekend last week. We swept trucks, Xfinity, and Cup, hit a big parlay on FanDuel, and had a massive 18-unit weekend. We are up 13.5 units to start the 2024 season, and that's even with Xfinity holding us back, as it always does in NASCAR betting. Just can't figure it out. Just can't figure it out. We did figure it out last week, and we had a good betting day for Xfinity, along with what we did in trucks and Cup. We're going to keep that going here in Phoenix, a track that's been pretty good to me on the betting side since the beginning of 2022. I picked Chase Briscoe 50-1 here to win in the spring of 2022. 2023, I had William Byron. I had Tyler Reddick, top three. And then I can't remember if I profited for the championship last year, but the championship races always kind of suck to bet on because the books typically know that somebody in the championship four wins. And finally, it didn't happen with Ross Chastain. He was like 70-1, which is crazy. Anyway, this has typically been a pretty good track for us in the betting sense. And hopefully we get a good race in the quality sense, right? Because the short track package has been adjusted. The short track racing in the Cup Series has been the weak point since the beginning of the Gen 7 era. Hopefully with some of the adjustments they made, a bunch of drivers tested in December. Some had good feedback, some didn't. Some felt like they noticed some changes in how the car drove. Some felt like they didn't. So we have an extended practice session on Friday. If you're catching this, that is today when we're recording. So just be aware of potential. I don't want to say it's a weird weekend, but just keep an eye on the line movement because this is a big time practice session that we're going to have on Friday with extra time for teams to figure out the package. We learn who's fast. We learn who can make better changes during the practice session to make their cars better. It's going to be similar to how the championship race was in 2023, fall of 2023, with just an extended practice session, allowing more time for everything. And the emphasis is learning who's got the speed on the long run. And we'll have plenty of long runs in this practice session on Friday afternoon, Friday evening. So just be aware of that. What I'm interested in, if you see right here on my rundown, I do have some Cup qualifying leans. I want to see if the books will put qualifying odds back on the board after we get this big practice session. I don't know if they will. I think they will But to be determined on that entire deal. But I will get into some practice or qualifying poll bets that I'm leaning towards before. Hopefully you catch us before we hit the practice session. And even if you don't, hopefully the books reload odds and you have time to still bet what I like. And I feel pretty fucking good about it, which typically is not the case in Cup qualifying bets. I mean, when I feel good, I feel good. And I think we got a shot at it with the 5 guys that I have listed later in the program. But before we dive into all that, let's take you to RotoDoc from the Action Network to give us some IndyCar insight ahead of the Grand Prix of St. Pete. Let's hear it. Give it up for the man, the myth, the legend, which I want to make sure this is a smooth transition. Give it up for RotoDoc to talk IndyCar bets ahead of the weekend.
Thanks, Dale. Welcome, everyone. I am Nick Giffen, predictive analyst at Action Network, doing all things motorsports, among other things. But really excited for the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg to kick off the 2024 IndyCar season. So let's dive into my bets. When we look right at the top of the odds board, we see Alex Palou and Pato O'Ward as either the favorites, co-favorites, 1 and 2. And while I do like both, I think both are very strong contenders to win. I think it's just a little too short for me at 4.5, maybe even 5-1. I think there's out there on those guys. So instead, I'm going to look at a different favorite who's a little bit longer, and I like him more because he actually led the most laps at the street courses last year, and that is Scott McLaughlin. You can get him right now at the time I'm recording this at 7-1 at DraftKings or at Superbook. I really like that number. I'd take him anything longer than like 6 or 6.5 to 1. I think those are fine as well. But like I said, he led the most laps at street courses last year on our 5 street races between St. Petersburg, Long Beach, Detroit, Toronto, and Nashville. So he's been very strong overall. He actually could or should have won this race last year if he and Romain Grosjean didn't get into a late race incident there coming out of the pits. So I like Scott McLaughlin to learn from that incident and have a real good shot to win the season opener for the 2024 IndyCar Series season. Next up, I have to go to my guy, Kyle Kirkwood. He opened various places at either 12 or 16 or 18-1. Those have all been bet down at this point, but there still is, at the time I'm recording this, if you're in a Bet365 state, 14-1 on Kyle Kirkwood there. If you're able to grab that, I love it. If you only have 8-1 available to you, I'm still okay with that because Kyle Kirkwood led the 3rd most laps at street circuits last year. And here's the thing, he was in contention potentially to either be one of the best cars or win every single one of those races. He won 40% of the races last year on street courses. At St. Petersburg, he started off really strong before strategy got the best of him, set him mid-pack, and then, he ended up getting launched over another car in an incident that wasn't of his own doing. So if Andretti Autosport had better strategy, Kyle certainly could have contended for a podium finish at St. Petersburg. Obviously, he won Long Beach, he won Nashville. Detroit, he got punted on lap 1 by Callum Ilott all the way to the back of the field and drove all the way back up, almost with a shot to finish on the podium by the end of Detroit. And then at Toronto, he used an alternate fuel strategy where he was still fast, but then he was the first car in an alternate strategy before accidentally hitting Helio Castroneves out of the way on a late race restart, which gave him a penalty, costing him a shot at the win. So Kirkwood had a chance to at least finish on the podium in all 5 street course races last year. Certainly would like him anything 8-1 or longer. Now, I do have a few long shot bets. I did take Christian Lundgaard at 30-1 at Superbook. It has since moved down. I don't mind if you can grab it, let's say at around 25-1 at DraftKings, available right now at the time of the recording. I certainly don't mind that. He won Toronto last year, showed a lot of speed at various races, road courses and street courses. So Christian Lundgaard at 25-1, I think, is somebody we strongly need to consider at that long of a price, especially so early in the season when there's a lot of unknowns. And then speaking of early season unknowns, Linus Lundqvist of Chip Ganassi Racing. You can find him around 50-1 out there. I initially got 60-1 at Superbook. There's still some 50-1 out there. Look, Alex Palou is the race favorite. He is in a Chip Ganassi Racing car. That means the team car of his, Linus Lundqvist, at 50, 60 to 1 is just too long. And Linus Lundqvist showed really strongly last year when he filled in a couple times in the INDYCAR series last year. So especially, at Detroit, for example, he had a great showing until he crashed late. But the guy has a lot of speed, ran really well in the Indy NXT series. So Linus Lundqvist, 50 to 1, certainly worth a sprinkle in the Ganassi car. Finally, I got to go with Callum Ilott. If you still have that available at 30 or 25 to 1, I don't mind that. I mean, he's filling in for David Malukas in the McLaren car, and we know those McLarens are bad fast. Pato O'Ward, again, one of those co-race favorites there, and Alexander Rossi, always a threat. Callum Ilott is a great road street course racer, and now he gets essentially top tier equipment or near top tier equipment aside from those Ganassi and Penske's. So I don't mind a sprinkle on him if you can get him anything longer than 25 to 1, but if he's shorter than that, I certainly wouldn't touch it. But those are my best bets for St. Petersburg. Dale, back to you.
There you have it. Good stuff from good friend of the program, Roto Doc. I would tell him on anything he does IndyCar, be sure to follow him on social media and on the Action Network app. He's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And in IndyCar, motherfucker's lights out. So be sure to take his advice because I think you'll be up. I think you'll be up at the end of 2024 if you tailed every single thing he did in the IndyCar realm. I don't know if I said it earlier, but bottom of your screen, odds courtesy of DraftKings Sportsbook. So what you saw in that IndyCar segment, odds courtesy of DraftKings. Doesn't mean they're the best odds, but it's just easy to use, right? Easy interface, whatever. Odds courtesy of DraftKings right here for the Cup race as well for the Shriners Children's 500. Is that what it's called? The Shriner Children's 500. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So let's get into Xfinity, right? William Byron is racing this weekend, and it completely just, when these Cup guys hop down, it like Nemechek at Vegas, right? It just fucks everything up. It really does. But it also, you could look at it as an opportunity. If one thing goes wrong with this Cup guy or these Cup guys that are cherry picking, it could open up a massive window of opportunity, right? In this case, I think similar to Cup, I'd like to wait and see who unloads the speed. Phoenix has been a track of parity over the years, whether it's Cup or Xfinity. And when you look at Xfinity, Cole Custer won the championship last fall and the race. Spring of 2023, he was pretty good. Started up front, led a bunch of laps, kind of faded. Justin Allgaier has been really good here, but hasn't won since 2019. Junior Motorsports has been kind of on the struggle bus. And at this track, they put a couple guys in the top 10 in that finale race, but they've kind of lacked, and they used to have a lot of success here, right? Brandon Jones, I don't even want to talk about Brandon Jones with the Junior Motorsports lineup. I just feel like Brandon Jones, just a gut feeling type of thing here. I just feel like he's just gonna explode in one of these races, and he's gonna come out and win. I just don't know why I feel that. I felt it last week. He was complete utter mediocreness. Is that a word? Can we say that? I don't fucking know. He was awful. And I really thought he would be pretty good at Vegas. Junior Motorsports, Sam Mayers had kind of an ugly start to the year, got involved in a wreck early at Vegas. We don't even know what he may have had. But if there is a guy I could look at from the Junior Motorsports fleet this weekend, I'm taking a look at Sam Mayer. 18 to 1 on DraftKings, pushing the 16 to 20 to 1 range on the majority of sports books. Keep an eye on Sam Mayer. He ran top 5 here last fall in the championship race. A kid that broke out in 2023. And I feel like the books are kind of fading him a little bit because of his bad start to the season. Well, I think this is a track at that price. Keep an eye. I think this is a track where he hasn't had a lot of success. But like I said, he ran top 5 here last fall. Was really, really hot at the end of 2023. The kid's a good short track racer. He has a good short track resume throughout his entire NASCAR career. Just keep an eye on Sam Mayer, 18 to 1. I'm not betting that right now, but I think you can wait, right? I think you can wait and you can get something close to that after practice, after qualifying, because I expect the Toyotas to be really good. And if there's one consistency here, when we talk about the Xfinity Series, is Toyota has been really good at Phoenix over the years. They hadn't always won the races, but their whole driver lineup, whether it's been Ty Gibbs, Brandon Jones in the 19, won here, in a stacked field. What was that, 2020, before COVID hit? John Hunter Nemechek has been really good here as well. The Toyota program for Joe Gibbs Racing has been strong at this racetrack, and they've won 2 out of the last 3. And Sammy Smith, I had a bet on Sammy Smith last year in this race. He got his first career win in that number 18 car. So if there's a manufacturer I would lean towards collectively, it'd be Toyota. Chandler Smith was awesome at Las Vegas last week. John Hunter Nemechek just won't fucking go away. He's in the car again this weekend. I don't want to bet on him, but Toyota, just really, really good at Phoenix when we talk Xfinity. I expect that to continue, unfortunately, when we talk about Nemechek. I don't know about Eric Almirola. I think he's overpriced. He was a complete non-factor last week at Las Vegas, while Chandler Smith and John Hunter Nemechek were stinking up the show. So I think someone like Eric Almirola for Toyota, very overpriced. But let's look at Sheldon Creed, number 18 car. Also a guy that I was shocked was not good at Vegas while his teammates were battling for the win. Sheldon Creed has been really good here at Phoenix. He finished second in the finale in 2023 with an RCR car. He's got Cup experience in at Phoenix as well. Actually, no, I'm sorry, that's Kansas. But he did race an extra Xfinity race here before he moved from truck to Xfinity, I believe, and it was a 78 car. Ran top 10 in his first start, I believe, and that would have been fall of 2021. Does it matter? No. Sheldon Creed is in a good car and in a program that's been awesome at Phoenix. 14-1 on ESPN bet. I'm betting it. I bet on Sheldon Creed every fucking week. I know. I do. But this has been a track that's been awesome for Joe Gibbs Racing. It's been good and getting better for Sheldon Creed. Give me Sheldon Creed 14-1. And we've seen him have clashes with Cup guys, right? Maybe when the Cup guys race, he's at his best. I don't know. Maybe that's just a hunch. But Sheldon Creed 14-1, I do like. If Brandon Jones is fucking terrible again, I'm probably never going to bet him again. But I kind of like 50-1 ESPN bet. Kill me. I know. Maybe don't tail it. I haven't bet that yet. I am for sure on Sheldon Creed. And I got to go one more direction here. Cole Custer. I have bet on Cole Custer plus 650, 6.5-1. 6-1 is also okay. I'd bet it down to 6-1. If you find 5.5-1, don't touch it. I'd go 6-1 at the most, but ESPN bet's giving us a little bit of value here on their sports book. Plus 650. Cole Custer won this race in fall of 2023. Seems like he's getting better and better as he progresses in his return to the Xfinity Series, and he's been kind of hot and cold to start the season, but SHR figured something out here in the fall when he won the title. He easily had the best car, and I expect them to come out. And this is a line that I think could go away. I think this is a line that could come towards where William Byron's at 3-1, 2.5-1, because Cole Custer's been incredible at qualifying. I would not be surprised if Custer came out here and got the pole, started on the front row, was really fast is really fast in practice, and you lose that 6.5-1 line. I would bet that right now. 6-1, 6.5-1 to Cole Custer, I think, is the most valuable Xfinity bet you could make before we hit the track for practice and qualifying on Saturday. So I'm going to leave it there. There's really nothing else I like, nothing else that sticks out to me. Maybe a Cole Custer, if you could find a top 5, even money-ish, top 3, even money-ish. That could be a good play. But for now, I think Cole Custer outright is a good bet leading into the weekend, just because of how good he's been in qualifying over the past year and a half, in the Xfinity Series, and he's the defending winner of this, or not this particular race in the spring, but last time we were at Phoenix, he won the race and the championship. Confidence is high, I'm sure, for Cole Custer and team when they come back here this weekend. So that's where I'm going to leave it on Xfinity. With William Byron in the show, you know he's going to come out, be fast in practice, fast in qualifying. I'm willing to wait and see who stacks up with William Byron. I know Cole Custer is going to be up there. Nemechek, probably going to be up there as well. 6.5-1 for him. That's a pretty good line for a guy that could come out here and run right with William Byron and is now a Cup Series driver. So Chandler Smith, overpriced at 5-1. Justin Allgaier, 7-1. Could be a pretty good bet as well. But I'd like to wait and see who stacks up close to William Byron in long-run speed before I make a big determination on what I like in my entire betting card. So we'll be patient there. And we move on to Cup qualifying leans. 5 guys, once again. I'm going to try to make this kind of quick because some of it's gut, some of it is statistical. But let's go to Bet Rivers. I'm just going to go straight to Bet Rivers. 5 guys. I did the same thing last week, did the same thing in Daytona. I think Atlanta, I told you guys to bet on McDowell and Todd Gilliland. I was leaning towards it, didn't bet it, but hopefully it was good advice for you to get or cash a bet on Michael McDowell at 18-1, 20-1. Some people had 40-1 for him to win the pole at Atlanta, which is what he did. Last week I missed in my leans because Joey Logano fucked it up for everybody. I'll go and tell you right now, I think this is the week where Ford does not win the pole. If Ford does win the pole, it would be with Ryan Blaney. Don't think it's going to happen, though. I think Penske, with what they did in fall of 2023, focused on race trim. I don't think they're going to come out here and win another pole. I think Chevy or Toyota will win this pole on Saturday, and I got 5 guys. William Byron is the best statistical play to win the pole. Bet Rivers, he's 5-1. I'll be honest, I haven't scanned the books enough to see if there's a better price on William Byron, but if there is, find it and take it. 4 starts at Phoenix, and he has won a race here, but in qualifying, his qualifying results are 3rd, 8th, 3rd, and 1st in qualifying. So, I mean, the worst he's ever qualified in the Gen 7 era is P8. Guy's been lights out on qualifying at this track. 5-1 on Bet Rivers. I'm going to scan once I get off of here and see if there's a better line I can find to get Benjamin Bill to win the pole. But he's easily my favorite bet when it comes to qualifying on Saturday. Second, I'm going to go with Martin Truex Jr. I've never bet on Truex in qualifying, but when you look at what he did in 2023, he had 3 poles. Homestead, Darlington, and what was the third one? Was it Loudon? He was second at Loudon. Regardless, and it'll come to me in the middle of me speaking, but especially on the shorter tracks, he qualified second here in the championship race, by the way, as well. Shorter flat racetracks, Martin Truex has been really good at qualifying in the Gen 7 era, in particular in 2023. 10-1 on Bet Rivers. He's a sneaky one. Toyota has qualified really well here over the years, especially with him and Denny Hamlin. And for whatever reason, Truex has gotten better at qualifying than he was in the first fucking 19 years of his career. So, love Truex at 10-1. I think that's a sneaky play. If you want to go in the Toyota fleet, you can put Denny Hamlin there as well. He's been a consistent top 10, top 5 qualifier at Phoenix over the years, whether it's Gen 6 or Gen 7. Just don't like the price point at 5-1 for Denny Hamlin. But Truex, sneaky, 10-1. I like it. That's my second guy. My third guy here, Kyle Busch in the 8 car. This is kind of a gut play. I'm kind of leaning towards Kyle Busch in an outright bet as well. They've just come out firing in 2024. They were a big-time contender in the 500, big-time contender at Atlanta. He got screwed over completely by that penalty at Vegas when he was a big-time contender. He probably was the best non-Hendrick car. I think with Tyler Reddick, they were pretty close, but he was a top 3, top 4 race car all day long. And does that matter for a track like Phoenix? Not really. But I just love the speed, and I love where Kyle Busch is at in confidence. Seems like he feels like, and the team knows or feels they can come to any racetrack and be a contender. And that was not the case last year because they really struggled with the short track package. I think that's going to change in 2024. At the beginning of the year, him and Kyle Larson are my 2 favorite picks to win the championship in the Cup Series. I love Kyle Busch this weekend. Partially a gut play. Statistically, has been kind of not great at qualifying at Phoenix. He's had some short track qualifying success mixed in. But Kyle Busch, 13-1. I think it's something I'm going to pull the trigger on just because I like the way they fired off in 2024. Next guy. Speaking of firing off in 2024, Tyler Reddick. Talk about a guy that's pissed off. Tyler Reddick, 16-1 to me, I think is a great, great price for Tyler Reddick to come out here and win the pole. He got the pole at Richmond last fall, which was a surprise to a lot of people. He's had the glimpses of short track success, even though they've been kind of his weaker point. But he's been really good here in this Phoenix spring race in 2022 and 2023. 2 top 5s, 2 top 3s. A factor when he was with RCR and a factor when he was and is with 2311 Racing. 16-1 to get the pole. We know Tyler Reddick is a big-time hot shot in qualifying. Keep an eye. I think it's a good value play. Tyler Reddick, 16-1. And I'm going to stick with the Toyotas here with Ty Gibbs. Another guy knocking on the door. He's just knocking on the door. He had an excellent speed at Vegas last week. He's had good speed before on the shorter tracks in his short campaign, or his young campaign, I should say, as a NASCAR Cup Series driver. Former winner at Phoenix. Give me Ty Gibbs 16-1 to win the pole. Kind of a gut play. Maybe a little bit of a momentum play with him as well. He's knocking on the door. So I'm high on Chevy. I'm high on Toyota to win the pole this weekend. And those are my 5 guys. Byron, Busch, Truex, Reddick, Gibbs. And I'll scan the books to see if there's better pricing. And we'll see what happens in practice to see if we get some big line changes. And hopefully the lines are reloaded before qualifying on Saturday so we can all bet on these 5 guys. Moving on, Cup Series bets. I got a few things that I like. Now, as we said with Xfinity, I think we're willing to wait before we hammer a bunch of bets. But consider these your top plays. I'm super confident in what I have bet on ahead of the Shriners Children's 500 at Phoenix Raceway. And we're going to keep it simple. I love Chris Buescher. Now, if you look at Chris Buescher's resume, it's bad at Phoenix. It's not great. But in 2 of the last 4 races here, top 10s, include in 3 of the last 4, top 15s. And it's a program that's getting better and better in RFK. I know he had a bad week last week when he blew a tire, or didn't blow a tire. The wheel nut came out. His guys that are suspended won't be suspended until after Phoenix because they appealed, which makes it where the guys that should be suspended 2 races, they get an extra week, right? You get an extra week of waiting until the appeals process is over. They'll lose that appeal process, and then their pit guys will be suspended next week, which is Bristol, right? Bristol or Coda, I always forget. But nonetheless, Chris Buescher came here in the finale last year and had an awesome fucking race car. He led laps, he won a stage, and he ran top 5. Other than Ross Chastain, he was the best non-championship guy in this race. And to me, that speaks volumes. RFK continues to get better and better and better. And when you talk about Ford as a manufacturer, they've kind of sucked at the mile and a halves. Other than Ryan Blaney and Noah Gragson was really good last week. But collectively, as a program since 2022, this has been their bread and butter, the shorter racetracks. Chase Briscoe won spring of 2022. Joey Logano won fall of 2022. And Ryan Blaney won fall of 2023. So Ford has won 3 of the 4 races at Phoenix in the Gen 7 era. And Kevin Harvick should have won the race here last year, if not for a fucking caution from Eric Almirola with like 3 to go. Ruined that race for him, and William Byron with the excellent pit crew strategy got out and won this race. So Ford has had everybody's number at Phoenix. I'm not worried about the body change when it comes to their raw speed at this racetrack. And I think Chris Buescher is just an excellent play, 25-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook. I've already bet it. And for a top 10 on ESPN Bet, or not ESPN Bet, it is on Even Money. Where's my Even Money? I want to make sure I get the proper book here. FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook, which we know kind of sucks, even though shout out to them for giving me that awesome parlay last week. FanDuel Sportsbook, he's Even Money. Plus 100 for a top 10. I'd bet minus 105 as well. That's available on like BetMGM. I think DraftKings might have it. Chris Buescher for a top 10 is my favorite play of the weekend. Unit and a half on this one. I think Chris Buescher is potentially going to lead the Ford charge this weekend. I know that might sound crazy, but I just really like where RFK is going. I also like that Chris Buescher was a part of that December test, which was like 8 drivers. Chris Buescher was a part of that test in December of 2023 with the new short track package, or the new elements to the short track package. So keep an eye on Chris Buescher. I think he's a huge underdog sleeper this weekend. I think he's going to come out here and be a competitor, be running up in the top 5, maybe compete for the win. 25-1, I'm telling you, it's worth it. Even money for a top 10 is worth it as well. I think Chris Buescher is a big factor on Sunday. And just keep an eye on the Fords in race trim. You know, we have a lot of high value or values, whatever you want to interpret it, but a lot of underdogs when it comes to the Fords. I mean, we got Josh Berry, who's trending around 80-1, 100-1. In the 4 car, we have Noah Gragson trending around 70-1. Remember that 10 car with Eric Almirola was really good at the short, flat racetracks in his tenure at Stewart-Haas Racing. He won New Hampshire. He was close to winning at a couple other tracks like Martinsville. Noah Gragson has already come out and has had speed at a track that's not even a track that Ford and Stewart-Haas Racing has been terrible at over the years. To me, that bodes well when it comes to momentum and when it comes to getting to a track that they are good at in the Gen 7 era. Noah Gragson is trending around 70-1. Just keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it as we head into the weekend. Ryan Preece, Michael McDowell, 80-1, 100-1. I'm not high on Logano because they've kind of faded in their performance at Phoenix over the past few years. But keep an eye. Chase Briscoe, 25, 30-1. Brad Keselowski in the Ford program has been kind of an outlier. He struggled since the beginning of 2022 at this track. Really, really struggled. Don't know why that is because they've got good race cars. But just keep an eye on the Ford program this weekend as we lead into this long practice that we have and qualifying. And on the topic of Joey Logano, I've got Buescher outright, Buescher top 10, and the bet that I really, really like. I can't log it on Action Network. They don't have the matchup yet, but I have bet this big-time bet. It's not going to be a lock of the universe. We can't give those out like they're fucking candy, but I love Kyle Busch over Joey Logano. As I talked about, Logano came here fall of 2022, won the race, won the championship. He's a 3-time Phoenix winner. But his last 2 races, he's finished 11th and 18th. And while some of his Ford counterparts have done well here, seems like he's getting worse. Seems like whatever they've got going on with that program, the 22 car, they've struggled here recently. So 3 out of the last 5 outside of the top 10. Kyle Busch, 4 out of the last 5 in the top 10. And I know they weren't great here in the fall of 2023, but I love the momentum factor that Kyle Busch has. Minus 110. He's the underdog in this matchup. And you can find this matchup on BetMGM. You can find it on, I think it is, let me go back here. I think it's on Caesars, ESPN Bet maybe. I'll update it. I'll tweet about it. I get crossed on using all these different sports books, so with all that being said, I just love the matchup. I know there's more than one book that has this listed, and if you follow me on Twitter, I'll be sure to get that to you. Here, hold on. Let me just pull my slips up. I'm just going to pull Kyle Busch over Joey Logano, minus 110. We are on Caesars. Okay, Caesars, he's minus 120. But there is a book where he's minus 110 over Logano. It's really the only matchup that stuck out to me. Let's go back to Bet Rivers. Not Bet Rivers. Fuck, where the fuck is this bet? Might be ESPN Bet. I hadn't done a lot on ESPN Bet until this morning. That's exactly where it is. Right here, ESPN Bet. Scroll down to driver matchups. See all lines. Kyle Busch minus 110 versus Joey Logano. Other than Chris Buescher, top 10, favorite bet of the weekend. And if you want to bet it on Caesars, minus 120, that's fine. I'd bet it to like minus 120, minus 130, no big deal. But those are the 2 books. You can find it at ESPN Bet, which is where I got it, and then over on Caesars. And I don't know, maybe there's another book that might have it. But I'll tweet that one out because I can't log it on the Action Network with all the other bets that I will have before Green Flag on Sunday. And I will be looking to get back into stage bets this weekend. I think this is a predictable racetrack. I think stage bets could be an advantageous way to profit at Phoenix on Sunday. So we'll get back into that. But just to sum up, we're going to preach patience overall. We're preaching patience. We want to see in this big practice session who's got speed on the long run. Who's going to have it? I think this is the best week to wait. We talked about waiting at Vegas. We did wait. This is an even better week to wait on all of your, or not all of your bets, but most of your bets, because I've got a few already lined up with Buescher outright 25-1, Buescher top 10 even money, and Kyle Busch over Joey Logano minus 110. That's what I got for Cup. For Xfinity, I got Cole Custer plus or 6.5-1 outright, and Sheldon Creed 14-1 outright. And that's all I got right now. And I guess I got to go back to the qualifying leans. I hadn't bet any of these, but they are leans. William Byron to win the pole, Kyle Busch to win the pole, Martin Truex to win the pole, Tyler Reddick to win the pole, and Ty Gibbs to win the pole. I really like Reddick there. Holy shit. Really, really like Tyler Reddick to come out here and win the pole. 16-1. That'd be a big time hit. And I think that's something I'm going to bet before we hit practice in a few hours. But that's all I got here on Dalescenter. Be sure to describe. I can't fucking talk. Subscribe to DaleTube, YouTube, right here, and be up to date on all Dalescenter programs. We've been recording these recently. I haven't been going live as much on Kick. If we do a Dalescenter live, that will be on Kick. I'll be sure to tweet that out. I posted in the Dalescenter NASCAR Discord, which you can also join. All these links, these beautiful panels to my left, you're right, I guess, all below here in the description here on YouTube. So be sure to check out everything we got going on. Dale Tanhart on all socials, Dalescenter NASCAR Discord. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and all the Cup bets on the Action Network app. The best place to track your bets. Follow all the experts like myself and RotoDoc, who was on here earlier talking INDYCAR bets. So appreciate you guys for the support. And the final thing, GridRival. Do not forget, free NASCAR Fantasy League season long. We're having a great time. Where am I at in the standings? Like 120th now. We had a pretty good week last week, but $1,000 up for grabs. It is a free season-long NASCAR Fantasy League. You can join right now in the link below on GridRival. Really, really fun game. I got my lineup set ahead of this weekend, and they're doing a great job really re-energizing the NASCAR Fantasy season-long game, because God knows, we all know, NASCAR Fantasy season-long fucking sucks just about everywhere you look. It does not suck on GridRival. I get a lot of texts from my friends talking about it. They're very, very infatuated with it and are having a great time. So you can join anytime. It is free. Link below in the YouTube description, and you can be a part of the Dale Tanhart official NASCAR Fantasy League, and that runs all the way through the end of the 2024 season. That's all my plugs. Be following and join the Discord to get all the updates on my specific unit allocations when I put out all my betting cards. You won't miss it if you're in the Discord, and you won't miss it if you're following me on Twitter or X at Dale Tanhart. This has been Dalescenter. Patience, my people. Patience, patience, patience. We will find profit. We will bag. Don't bet on ARCA unless you're a fucking idiot. And bet with us on Xfinity, Cup, and INDYCAR for the season opener this weekend down in St. Pete. Appreciate you guys. Let me know what you like with your bets in the comments below. And join us again when we come back here next week ahead of Bristol. Can't wait for that. But good luck to everybody with all your bets this weekend at Phoenix. Hopefully we'll find a way to profit, and I'll be right there with you. Appreciate you guys. Enjoy the races this weekend.